Hey guys, now we're going to take tables of values to another level. We're going to actually use tables of values to actually graph a straight line. That's what tables of values are actually for. So when we learn about tables of values and how to use them, and we were substituting and we were completing the tables of values, we're actually preparing you to actually start graphing tables of values in this lesson here. What we're going to do is we have a rule, an equation. Now this rule says y equals x plus 3. So y is going to have the value of x plus 3. Let's see how we're going to do that. We'll complete the tables and then we're going to graph it on the number plane, and I'll be telling you more about the number plane next as well. The table of values. Let's start with that first. Y equals x plus 3. Well, we know that we have to substitute and we have to replace. X in the first one is -1. -1 plus 3, y will be 2. The next, x equals to 0. So we replace x with 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. The next one, x is going to be 1. 1 plus 3, 4. And next one, x plus 3, x is going to be 2, so we replace x with 2. 2 plus 3, 5. Now this is not going to be new to you. We've done this before. We've completed a table of values. Now, what's the next step? We're going to use a table of values to graph and plot points and then draw a straight line on the number plane. Before we get started, I want to explain to you how this is related to that. Well, the table of values has an x row and a y row, which means this is the x coordinate and this is the y coordinate. What does that mean? It really means that this and that are written like this when we're going to use them in a graph. X then y, which means that then that. So we're going to write like this, -1 and 2, 0 and 3. What's the next one? 1 and 4, and 2 and 5. Now this is exactly the same as that. This is in table form, the table of values. This is in coordinate form. Now these are our coordinates, meaning these are the points that we're going to graph on the number plane. Where did you get them from? From the table of values. So this is our x and this is our y. X, y, x, y, x, y. X, y, x, y, x, y, which is that one there, and x, y, which is that one there. We can go from here straight to there, but it's important for me to explain, for you to understand how and what does this, how is this related to the number plane. Now that we have our 4 coordinates, let's plot them on the number plane. Now the number plane, as you can see, has 2 axes. It has the y-axis, we label it with y, and it has the x-axis, we label it with x. The y-axis is always the vertical one, very important, and the x-axis is the horizontal one. What you'll notice as well is that both meet at 0, 0. The 0 from the x number line and the 0 from the y number line. They meet right in the center, which is 0, 0. We call it the origin. So whenever you think of origin, think of 0, 0. It means the center of our number plane. The x-axis is divided. We have the positive on the right and the negatives on the left. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. The y-axis likewise is divided into up, top, and bottom. Top is the positive, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And down is the negative, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, down as well. Now you notice we also have arrows, which means that the number plane is continuous, it continues on. But for us, we're only concentrating on this part of the number plane, the center, which is the origin, and some of the numbers around it, some of the points and coordinates around it. Now, we know what the number plane looks like. We can see the features. It has positive on the right, negative on the left. It has negative down and positive up. It has the y-axis, always vertical, and it has the x-axis, always horizontal. Now, we want to use the number plane and the coordinates to put points and then draw our straight line. Before that, I want to give you a very important tip. I've seen students, when they draw their number plane in their book, they forget to make sure that the spaces are equally apart. Very important that your spaces between the numbers are exactly the same distance apart. So, if you've decided to make this 1 centimeter, this has to be 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter here, 1, 1, 1, 1. Very important. And same thing here. If you've decided to make it, let's say 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters. Very important that you do that. Please don't stuff that up. I've had too many students, they draw it, looks nice, and all of a sudden when they come to plot the points, they can't do it, and when they come to do it, it won't work. The line won't be straight because their coordinates, their points, their lines here were not exactly the same distance apart. So very important, if you decide this is 1 centimeter, this also has to be 1 centimeter all the way through. Use a ruler, you won't go wrong, but please be careful from that. Now, let's get started. Our first point that we want to plot on the number plane, minus 1, 2, there it is. We always start on the x before the y, like the alphabet. Think of it that way. Alphabet, x, y, z. X comes before y. Minus 1, 2, that's our x coordinate, and that's our y coordinate. So that's our x, that's our y. X, y, x, y, x, y, x, y. Very important for you to remember. Negative 1, 2. Negative 1 on our x-axis. Where is negative on our x-axis? There it is. Negative 1. And 2 on our y-axis. So negative 1 on our x and 2 on our y. Where's 2? Right on top. We go up, negative 1 and 2, and we put our point there. Negative 1 on the x, and then go up 2. Negative 1, 2. Negative 1, 2. Then 0, 3. Now 0 on the x, where is it? There it is. 3. Go up to the y at 3, there it is. So 0, 3. So we start always on the x and then we go up or down depending on the coordinate. 1, 4. Where do we start? On the x. 1, there it is. 4, meaning we go up to the 4. There it is. 1, 4. X first, then up or down depending on the y. In this case here, they're all positives, so we're going up. We said negative 1, 2, we went up. 0, 3, went up. 1, 4, we went up. So we start here and we go up. In this case here. 2, 5. Where are we going to start? At the x-axis, at the point 2, and 5, 2, 5. Where is it? It's there. We make sure we always double check. There it is. Now, how do I know if I'm doing it correctly? Well, I can see that my points are in a straight line. They're all in a line. There they are. If you notice that you've got a point that's out of place, you know straight away you've made a mistake somewhere. So now I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 points all in a line. I have now plotted the points on a table of values on my graph. So now I've plotted it. I've used the table of values. I've completed it using our rule. There it is. I have our coordinates. I've placed our coordinates correctly. Now let's draw the straight line. Using a ruler, of course, you will draw your straight line. The point, make sure they're in line, and we draw our straight line going through all the points. One there, one there, one there, and one there. All 4 points. There's our straight line. And we don't forget, we must show arrows. We must show the arrows. The arrow is telling us that our line continues on. Y equals x plus 3. This is the line y equals x plus 3. So, one more time quickly. We have our rule. We used our table of values. We know how to complete our table of values. We substitute x for the numbers here. We get our values for y. We write our coordinates just to understand where these come from. These come there, and these are the coordinates. And we use them to plot our points. We had a point here, minus 1, 2, 0, 3, 1, and then 4, and 2, 5. There they are, minus 1, 2, 0, 3, 1, 4, and 2, 5. We draw our line using our ruler. We put our arrows, very important. I've seen students lose marks. Why? Because they didn't put the arrows. The arrow shows that your line continues on. So it's very important. So very important for you to understand how this works. You're going to be using it in a very important topic. It's a big topic called coordinate geometry in years 9, 10, 11, and 12. It's critical that you understand this all the time. The hardest thing for students to know for them at the start is to know how to plot the points. We always start with the x first, and then we go up or down depending on the y coordinate. Start with x and then y. Practice this and you get the hang of it. At the start it may take a bit of time, but after a while you become very fast and you'll do it easily with no problems whatsoever.